Hello, Jack. How's it going? Where are you?
What's up? I'm in Cabo.
In Mexico?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice weather.
Yeah.
Hello, Gilse, Roxana, Viorel, Alexi. Good. Well, thank you for coming. Let me make sure this is getting recorded. Yeah, it is. So, yeah, as you know, this is the very first meeting on hypertext after the general meeting. This one is supposed to be a little bit more practical. We're gonna make sure first that everybody has the program. What do you need? And we can start, practicing on the general workings of the program. Does everybody here already has the program installed, or anybody needs? We can go through the process if anybody needs to. Okay, Alexi, you have it. Jack, you have it. Roxana, I can see you nodding. Okay. What about you, Venerable Gilse? You have the program already? Okay, great. Let me see somebody else.
I've had it for years.
Okay, great. So everybody has it already installed. And Oscar is also in the call. Oscar, if you need anything, you can put it in the chat. Let me open up the chat for, yeah, it's good. All right. So I guess if you all have it, we can start practicing and playing a little bit with it. Do you all have, last time when we met with Tim, sorry, with Nick, that's a common thing, I don't know why. And they say that happens to them often, who knows, maybe one syllable name. We met with Nick and we practiced a little bit on the mandala prayer. Do you all have the text with the mandala prayer? Okay, cool. So then you are very well set up. Maybe you know more than what I thought you will know, and maybe my job is gonna be really very little, but so then if you already have it and everything, why I'm trying to figure it out. Do you just 1 second, let me see. Okay, anyways, what I propose to do is like we're gonna be sharing our screen, and then we can help each other to practice with this operation. So let me just start, just keep moving on. I'm gonna share my screen, open a hypertext, open the prayer. So also that process is recorded in the screen, okay? So I'll go and share my screen. Share. Okay, don't mind this. Don't mind this. Don't mind this. Okay, good. So the very first thing, let's say, for somebody who may watch this recording later, we have to download Hypertext, but that can happen in the website. Later, probably I'll do a video on a tutorial on that. But right now I have it here under my folder, Diamond Cutter Classics. I already have this folder, Hypertext. Hypercontext is the name of the program. So I'll just go and open it. I've been working on it yesterday, just for it how it looks. I'm working in a text called Sunlight in the Path of Freedom. It's a translation that Geshe Michael did on commentary of, I think is the first
Panchen Lama.
Lama, yeah. Sometimes just the name is, but anyways, so I'm working with this text. You can see I already did many links on hypertext. So I'm just gonna save this here and open up the prayer that we were practicing the other day. I have to go to desktop. Okay, these are a few of the texts I have and we can work with, but where is it? Prayers, no. does any of you have there with you the document of prayers? I saw, or I
Yeah.
think you should in the chat.
You mean course one reading text? I have it open.
Ah, okay, but somebody sent it in the Telegram group. Somebody sent lately the text we used last session.
Yes, hi, I'm sorry. I asked if somebody could post it in the chat, and Liftina posted it, but I think that there might be some faults because I've noticed some mistakes while I was trying to hypertext. That's one of the points I wanted to ask
Okay,
about.
so
There may be mistakes in the
Well-
courses, and that's one thing that's really good for us to note, so it can be corrected in the future. There was a project at one point to go through all of the courses and make sure that they were correct, so.
Mhm. So that may be interesting. Maybe you can share your screen, and then we see what you're talking about, and when
Yeah, sure.
together
I
we
can do it right away. Sure.
Okay, cool.
Mm, Let me see. Can you see it?
Yes. Oh, that's the Windows version.
Yep.
All right.
Maybe
Never
that's the course. So I'm looking at the very first word, and I just see one syllable me
Mhm.
instead of
Okay.
the full word, and that's what I added into the notes.
Okay. I have a question for you because let me see how many of you have a Mac computer and how many of you have Windows.
How do you want to do that? How many, let's say how many have Macs to start with?
Okay, just you, Venerable Gilse, Roxana, Venerable Gilse, and Oscar. Okay, 3. And you other 3 have Mac, sorry, Windows. Okay, I don't know the commands on Windows, but I wanna guess they are the same. So in the Mac computer, if you press Fn at the very corner of your keyboard and also F6 on the top line of your keyboard twice, it's gonna change. Instead of looking at the Tibetan traditional letters, it's gonna change them exactly like that. What's the command? What's the command you use for that?
I just pressed F6.
Okay, great. Sometimes I don't know why Ben Kramer and Nick have told me like there are some problems with the Hypercontext program. Sometimes the Tibetan traditional letters show incomplete. So when you see stuff like that, like something seems weird with the Tibetan traditional letters, you want to change to the Latin letters, and then you can read the whole thing. So what happened in the mandala, and this usually happens when there are Sanskrit words written in Tibetan letters. That's when you find these kind of mistakes or errors. So as you may know, mandala is a Sanskrit word, but the Tibetans try to emulate the sound with their own letters. So now you see the whole thing, instead of only me, you see the mandala thing. I will do something else. Can you click on your little notepad icon on top of mandala?
This one, right?
So that little icon allows you to see the coding inside the text. It's not opening anything for you?
Oh, I see I see the problem. I just shared one window, so I need to share the full screen for you to see it.
Oh yeah.
So
Perfect.
here it is.
Okay. Now let me ask you something else. Did you prepare this text, or this is the text as it was sent? Did you add?
No, I've been trying to hypertext. Actually, that's what I've been doing for the last several minutes.
Okay, just give me a moment. I'm gonna open up this as well, because I want to show you something, guys, regards preparing a text to be hypertext. So I just need a moment. Okay. 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 Can I now share my screen? Okay, great. Look, share screen. Let's do this. Okay, great. Okay, so it's the same here. This is the way it looks in the Mac computer. So what I wanted to show you is this. When we open I like to call it like the background control or something like this, is this with the notepad. You see that already these little T's and E's are written there. But usually when we get a very new text, let's say like Venerable Utpala just finished her book. So they are gonna send us the book, and the book doesn't has these T's or E's, but these T's and E's are for the program Hypercontext to know what language is working with. So part of our job as preparing a text before we start hypertexting is to find all these like language lines and write them. Many times, let's say, probably this text is already, all of it, yeah, I'm just reviewing, all of it is done already. Yeah, I can see. But just to let you know, sometimes you may have to spend like a few minutes or something just writing T's and E's, because otherwise the program is not gonna know. Let's just test it. Like if I delete the T and if I delete the E, let's say in the first two lines, we are not gonna be able to do anything with it. Like the program will not let us touch it. So, all right, I deleted a few of them. Then you save any change that you do here that you wanted to see reflected in the hypercontext. You have to save this document. So either manually like file save, or with your commands, command S, whatever it is. So, all right, now you cancel this. You have to how do you say, upload, refresh here, and then we'll see the result in here. Another thing that I would like to mention is like the more links you do, the longer it's gonna take to refresh. So in the work that I was doing that I showed you at the beginning on the sunlight on the path of freedom, it takes like 7 minutes for me to wait every time that I refresh. So it's interesting. Right now it took a few seconds because there are very few links, but in the other one like 7 minutes. Okay. So you see, I cannot.
Sorry, someone told us that on the previous meeting that Windows works better in that relation.
Ben Kramer say that, and it's interesting. I haven't used the Windows version, but yeah, I think he did say that with Windows, it may not have that problem. So yeah, as you can see now, I cannot even click on the words, like you see. But if I go, there is another thing to consider. Hypercontext has like two modes, either editing mode or just reading mode. To change modes in the Mac computer, you press Fn and then F8. And you see here at the bottom, you will see the change. Look, text edit mode, that's when I can actually work. And the other one is link edit mode is when I can do links. So here you see, because I haven't added T's, they were there, but I delete them. The dictionary is not running. If I click here, for example, Drokun, all beans, right? The dictionary already is running because it knows it's Tibetan. Nam is a pluralizer that can mean like many or something. So yeah, it's working on that. And then I click on English, it knows it's English, no problem. But here, because we deleted the T's, nothing. So again, I will say as part of our job to prepare a text will be sometimes you go to here and then I'm gonna add it. So I just T's because this, well, actually, yeah, this is fine. There is gonna be sometimes that we wanna write the S as in Sanskrit, but that's only for future purposes, because right now the program doesn't detect Sanskrit, but Ben Kramer advised me to do it anyways because he thinks in the future, the next version they are trying to develop, it's gonna be able to detect not even that, but many more languages. So for now, just T's and T's and E's. Okay. And again, we save, Command S, save the changes here, cancel this thing, refresh. And we're gonna be able to, yeah, now we can, you see, I click here and the dictionary is already running. Does everybody as well has the Gopher program already downloaded? If you don't, I really recommend to get it. Is this program? I'll show you. This Gopher. It allows you, let's say sometime, whatever, you are like, okay, let's read up. Something happened here. And then, yeah, of course, you get this, like the dictionary open up here. But sometimes you may find words that it's not enough, the information you see in the dictionary here. So you want to go deeper and try to figure it out. And that's when Gopher becomes super, super useful. So I will go on read up, command copy, paste over here. Then I have a few like dictionaries and documents where my Gopher can look at it. So I just will do a general search and see what it comes. Okay, read up, Central Mountain, right? And here we can see as well how many matches with read up the program finds in the documents. So if this is not enough for me, I can just keep looking by keep pressing enter. So again, read up, another thing, it could be Great Mountain. So either Central Mountain, Great Mountain, what else? Central Mountain. Then you start finding phrases where read up is used and like that. So this, if you delete, it takes you back. So this is a really, really good tool I recommend you to get if you're gonna do hypertext. This program, you can also find it at the website in the same place where you downloaded Hypercontext. And now,
so sorry,
yeah.
Juan. So
No problem. Yeah.
this program Gopher, so does it actually utilize the what we do? I mean that it processes the database that we are working to create, right? So it shows us like that this this particular word in context can mean that and that.
Well,
So it's not just a dictionary, it's a contextual dictionary.
Gopher?
Yeah.
No, Gopher is just like a searching tool. It depends. If you have a contextual dictionary installed on Gopher, then you're gonna be able to find those contextual definitions. So as you can see, for example, here I have a document, a folder called files to point.gopher. and many more. Like, for example, I have the Tibetan dictionaries. It's just one file with many definitions. ACI transcripts, Sedona College International College translations, the 36 courses text and stuff like that, the Great Dictionary. And
so that's a whole process to set up Gopher to actually work for us. Like you need to install Gopher, then you need to have a database of translations, and you need to point the point to Gopher to those folders.
Yeah, it's like
Is it described anywhere? I mean, to actually do it.
Yeah, you want to see the process? Yeah, of course. That's some of the purpose of this meeting, to set you up with everything you need. So let's say Gopher is like the microscope, or the, I don't know, how do you call this thing to see, to look at? And all these folders that you see here are the subject. You know, one is the instrument. Gopher is just the instrument to look at things, and you can add so many things here. Like, actually, compared with some of the translators, I have very little things over here. Like, some of the actual official translators have like many more dictionaries, many more files to look at it when they are looking for something in Gopher. Gopher is just the instrument or the tool that we're gonna use to find whatever we want, definitions or places, documents, text where certain words have been used. So let's check on that. Let me go to here. Let's try to download it. It's gonna be at Diamond Cutter Classics. Here at Tools. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure if Gopher it's available. Oh yeah, supposedly it's available for Windows. Great. Here is for Mac, here is for Windows. And check, this is some of the very first files that you're gonna use the Tibetan English Dictionary to look at it once you have Gopher. So try downloading Gopher and let me know if it's working. Let's see. Does anybody here already has the Gopher installed or no? Okay.
I have it on my computer, but I hadn't tried to open it, and now it's saying same thing, that you had the problem, or somebody had the problem with of it being an unidentified developer. So I need to go in and fix that in my system of preferences.
I have it on Windows, but it just installed as like a text file that looks like it needs to be inputted somewhere. So I'm not sure exactly what to do with it.
Okay, maybe Jack, can you share your screen and show us that? And that's also good because it's gonna be displayed on the recording.
Sorry, I think Ben said last time that there is a problem with the Windows file for Gopher. I think he actually said that it's a text, it's not exactly what it should be.
Yeah, I can show you what. Yeah, for me, it just installed as Tibetan English Dictionary.
Okay, and supposedly that's another of the programs.
Right.
Yeah, this is what I got from that file.
Can you open your Hypercontext? And I just want to see if you can already see in your Hypercontext the dictionary that comes with it. Like, just click on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can actually do Hypertext without Gopher, but Gopher is a really good tool to have. Sometimes you can find it really, really useful. sometimes when the process gets really hard, for sure Gopher will save you. But okay, now I guess let's just move a little bit and have some fun, at least for whatever, 20 more minutes, 30 more minutes. What I will suggest is like, why every person, okay, how many are we here? 7? Maybe each person shares
sorry,
like 5 minutes.
Juan, maybe it would be a nice idea if I think that Gopher shouldn't be, if it's just a searching tool and then there is this big database. I don't think that it should be very heavy, and maybe we could just like store it somewhere online with the whole database, and every one of us can just go online for that and just search this database online.
You could,
instead of installing anything.
Yeah, you could, but I mean, Gopher is great. It's just like it's gonna make your job easier. But if
yeah, but if it's a problem to install it on Windows, and moreover you need to add all this texts to actually have something to search the terms in, I guess if we had a big database somewhere online for all of us, like we all have those, we would all have those texts, and I don't think that this would be difficult to work with Gopher all online, because it might be heavy, because it's obviously just a simple searching tool, which they utilize on every website.
Yeah, and you can do it without it, but there is gonna be times when you want to find, for example, a word that it's close to another word. So for what I'm saying is like,
Juan,
very useful, but I'm sure we can figure it out without it.
Juan, what I think Alexi is saying is that instead of each of us having it individually, that it should be up on the web somewhere, that where we can just type in a URL, get to Gopher, and use it, rather than each of us having to download it, to make it accessible that way.
Beautiful. Yeah, I see what. All right. Yeah, my apologies, I was not getting. Yeah, but that's very good idea, and I think Ben may be able to set up something like that. So I'll talk to him. Yeah, it's like basically using Gopher online or something like that. Great idea. Okay, cool. So for now, let's just do hypertext, and then we start learning a little bit of Tibetan, because in a way that's one of the big goals of doing this. We're gonna learn. Yeah, you're gonna learn Tibetan.
It's kind of frustrating for me. I really like Tibetan script, and I was hoping to work with Tibetan script, and I can see that just in the first verse, not only Sanskrit is misinterpreted by the program, but also some proper Tibetan words like ling and chopar.
Yeah, and that's the case sometimes, but there are times when you can actually work with the Tibetan letters, and you can spend like pages and pages working in the Tibetan letters until you find a problem. Then you want to go back to the Latin letters. I have found as well that in a way for me it's easier to work with the Latin letters, but it's good to challenge yourselves if you want to get used to the Tibetan letters. Sometimes when I meet with Ben and Nick, they actually say like, come on, let's do the Tibetan. So it's more difficult, but it's also useful. So we can play with it. And if we find a problem, we change to the Latin to see what's going on really in the program. Okay, so maybe I'm just gonna start, and then each one of you can go for 5 minutes and we all try to comment on how to do it. I'm just gonna share my screen to do it. Okay. So what I will do, but this is just my personal style of working on hypertext, I will open a document. For example, this is how I've been doing it. Like, let's say Thursday, I've set the date. And then I'm gonna make a note here. This is for my text on Sunlight on the Path of Freedom, but I can hear like mandala prayer text. I just write where I am working with. And like, I don't know, I write like, usually texts have like paragraphs and I write what paragraph I'm working with. But here, I don't know, I will just call it what? Beginning prayer. Okay, and then I make notes because sometimes you need to go back and review what you have done and stuff. So I have basically mostly 3 documents open when I'm working with it. Like a Word document just to make notes to myself or for others in the future, maybe. The actual Hypercontext and my Gopher searcher in case I need anything. And this, I just use it sometimes, so I put it down there. Okay, so we can start like, Sachi, we did this last time, and we already, if you click on Sa, the program kind of already has a tendency to try to reach for like a big phrase or word, but you can also click on each of the words separately. So that's nice because it allows you to understand how in Tibetan some words are built. Really, it's very interesting because Tibetan is a language who builds upon things to give new meanings. For example, here, the word flower is metok, right? Metok, flower. It's one of the meanings. But the interesting thing is like me, if you wonder like why flower is called metok, you go to me and you realize that me means fire or flame, and tok means like top. So the word for flower is very interesting, like it's a flame on top. You see, I don't know if you are seeing my, it's like you have a top that is like the stick or the flower, and then not like a flame. And this is what they say it's a flower. I think Tibetan is really, really useful to start understanding mental images. And I think that's one of the reasons why Tibetan is so good for Dharma, suspiciously good. Because once that we learn more Tibetan, we will realize that it's super useful to start noticing more this process of how we build, how we relate to things, how we name things. It's very beautiful. So that's a good thing about this program. You can click on one word, that metok will mean flower. But if you're really curious and want to know more about it, each syllable will mean something. In this case, we don't have a way to link each one of those 2 syllables. Sometimes you will see that is the case, but right now, let's just say, okay, metok, we find, we go, okay, offering the mandala, here is it, we're there, filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers. Okay, cool. So metok, we already know is flowers, so let's link this with the space bar, cool. But let's go back, this was just an example, okay. P, does anybody remembers what P means before I click on it?
Incense.
Yes, beautiful. Incense. So sometimes what I like to do is to just go and aim for each individual word that I already know, and then I make it more complex. Like, okay, incense, I know incense. Does anybody knows ki is a particle? I'm gonna share also a document very useful to have that Ben Kramer shared with me about the grammar cases, but in a few more minutes. So ki.
It was with, I think.
Ki is an instrumental case. You're gonna see in the document, but it makes whatever you are talking about, the subject, it tells you that that subject is doing something. So yeah, it's like with, by, like by the incense, or by Jack, the incense was bought. And this is a very common syntax structure in Tibetan. So it's also cool because we are gonna learn and see how they have a very different order, placing of the words, but it also trains your mind to think in different ways. So, okay, instrumental, with, yes. You can see by virtue of, okay, cool. And then chuk, chuk. Okay, let's say I don't know, so then I click on it. And then it's like, okay, what is it? What is it? And then you see, okay, it can be like anoint, rub, spread on, to smear, to apply a cream. So in this case, it's gonna be filled. And then remember what we did the other time, like shing is
Juan,
one of the, yeah,
can I ask a quick question?
yeah.
So when I click on Juke, I do not get as many definitions as you have. I get like 2 or 3.
Interesting. And I wonder why. I'm wondering if it has anything to do with having these documents downloaded in your computer, or I will need to see.
Maybe it's about highlighting like different parts, maybe. So it sometimes it would separate S, the last suffix.
Like this?
Maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Make
Okay,
sure
something like that.
with the saw, yeah. Okay, got that.
That was-
Definitely changed it. Thank you, Alexi.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we just keep going. The shing is one of the many ways. That's also another thing you're gonna start getting used to. There are many ways in Tibetan to say like and, or like to establish a comma, or to establish that there is either a definitive stop on the idea, or either a stop, but that more is coming up next, and a connected idea. So they don't really use commas or periods or anything like that. They use syllables. So shing is one of them. Shing in this case means and, but you need to know, and that's a tricky thing, because, for example, here, if I don't know, I will never guess, because the definitions it tells me is like wood, tree, field. This is some situations when I will really go to gopher. But usually you can, if you really pay attention, you can find a clue. For example, the clue is over here. Gerundial particle for ching after final sa. If you don't know, this may go, how to say, unnoticed. But because I have worked with other texts and I remember ching, it's another way for and or a comma. Now it's like, okay, ching, all right. So you can look in Gopher, you can look for either shing with this orthography, or with this one. You will find out. So these are cases when you have to go and explore more things, when you really can, this doesn't make sense or whatever, but because we know here, we know here. So, and between incense and between flowers. Here is a great air filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers. Oh, so there is no and. So what do you guys think this ching is doing then?
It's the comma.
Yay. So it's a comma. And that are just a few examples that show us how interesting translation can get, because Geshe Michael a lot of times says that translating is about conveying a meaning or an idea as precise as you can, even if sometimes you have to adjust a little bit the structure of the words. But it seems that in English, especially in a poetry or a prayer, it will make more sense, at least in this context, to just use a comma instead of saying filled with the smell of incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. So those are like, I guess, like skills that little by little a translator will develop, like this sensitiveness and developing their own style. And I think it's very beautiful to see how Geshe-Michael does it. You're gonna find things that are like very unconventional and amazing. Sometimes you will see. Okay, so, and just to finalize this one, tram. It's place, display, distribute. So because it's talking about the incense and the flowers, we say tram will be covered. But check this out. This is one of the cases that we need to not only attach each one of the words separately, but we can say, okay, cover flowers. That's all the Tibetan is telling you. And flowers actually covered. Flower covered. So we can take these two, metok tram, and take the whole sentence, covered with a blanket of flowers. And as Ben Kramer was saying, why? Well, because in this context, that's how the translator, in this case, Geshe-Michael Roach, decided to do it. So we will cover the whole phrase with metok tram. And you see, if you take your cursor or little arrow over here, it will highlight the whole metok tram. But if you go through one specific word, it will link as well to only one of them. So you can see over here, covered, flowered, covered. Covered with a blanket of flowers. Okay, so now I would like each one of you to try one of the lines. Do you have a question, Venerable Gilse?
Yeah, when I try to highlight the whole sentence to link it, it says cannot link selected text. Links would overlap without full containment.
Okay, I would like actually, if you agree, to share your screen with us, and we can fix that. So you can go next. By the way, remember to be saving your work time to time. Here, I'm just gonna save it, and we keep going. So let me stop my sharing, and you can do yours.
Just a brief remark. There was a like when you install the program, the Hypercontext, you get a very clear and a simple introduction there. Just like pre opened, and it had this topic also. So you need to have like there are super links and sublinks, and you need the super link to include the whole sublink always. Like they cannot overlap. So you cannot have me. You cannot have shing me and me talk, but you can have me talk and you can have me and talk separately. So one can include the other, but they cannot overlap.
Correct.
That's from that instruction.
Yeah, sometimes you can do very interesting things once we learn to play with brackets inside the text edit mode in the little notepad, but I think that's gonna come later. So right now something happened there because you have like with a blanket of flowers, you see how it got gray? In order to bring it back to black and be able to play with it, you have to go there in the gray text and just press D letter. Yes, and you see how it went back. Now you can play with it again, because when it's gray, it's like we usually use the gray for times when there is no reference in the Tibetan, and it was something that the translator decided to add for like clarity purposes mostly. But then you cannot use it anymore to link it with anything if it's gray. So just for you guys to know, if you want to bring
and how do you do it? Sorry,
you just press the D letter. You take your little arrow on top. Well, why don't we try? You can also do it with the blue. So if you go to metok, let's say, and you press D, it's gonna delete the link you already did. Yeah.
But how do you mark anything as something inserted by the translator just for clarity?
You just click on it. Let's say, let's just, for an experiment, can you, Venerable Gielse, highlight there where it says, here is the great earth on the English? Yeah, okay. And just press, you see, you are not linking it with anything. You're just gonna press spacebar. And it gets gray. That usually means is something that we cannot find a reference in the Tibetan. It seems that it was something added by the translator for clarity purposes. But then you are like, oh no, wait, I made a mistake. Now I see it is there, it's the sashi. So you go to the gray, press the D. It goes back to black. Now you can play with it again. And we can, yeah, maybe now you can try to do, yeah, how would you do your first sentence? Sashi puki yukshin metotram. Okay, very well, beautiful. And you, if you want, you can make this dictionary display a little bigger. Sometimes it's useful. You see there is a little dot on top of it. Yeah, you can pull it up and you will be able to see more. So, well, all right. That's very good. Remember that Ben Kramer told us we did this together last time. And he said, in this case, if you click on Sashi, if you click on Sa, the program is gonna give you Sashi already. So could you click on Sa so we can see? But yeah, did you already click on it? No. Yes. And that's the difference. If you click on it, it's gonna give you the dictionary definition and it's gonna stay with it. If you just pass your arrow there, it may do it as well, but it's not gonna get the whole sentences. The longest version of the possibilities the program is finding. Exactly, yeah. So you see, okay, you got Sashi there. Sashi does means great earth. But if you go separate one syllable at a time, you're gonna find out that she doesn't means great. So in this case, it wouldn't be accurate to say that she is great. What you could do in this case is just get Sashi for great earth and only Sa link it to earth. So in that sense, yes, Sa is already linked with earth. That's very good. But she, you will have to delete the link with great in this case. So you have two links there, one for Sashi and one individual for Sa. Is great still there?
So
But
to
then
unlink
one-
it, I press D.
Yes, D. Yeah, perfect. Now it's looking good. And you don't have to do anything with she in this case because she, it by itself alone is not really a word that you can link in this particular case. But Sashi is great because it's already linked with great earth, and Sa is great because it does means earth in this case. So yeah, that'll be a very good link that you just made there.
But Tuan, isn't it all like highly contextual? For example, juk, it means to anoint, but like you can say that the meaning field is contextual. So it's not moistening, not perfuming, not piercing, not smearing, not applying a cream. So but still we do link it there. Although it's a purely contextual pair.
So this is the case also. Ben Kramer talked about that last session, and he said like, actually for this particular word, he was saying like, if we think about it, there is actually not 100% accurate translation ever for anything. He did say that juk in Tibetan, the only thing that it actually means is juk. What I'm saying is like when you read or have juk in your mind, it triggers a very specific idea or mental image that what you try to do is to convey in a different language as accurate and close that you can. So these are just examples of what juk means, like pierce, perfume, to smear, to annoy, but try to develop this idea like those are just like tools that we use to try to reach what the word is trying to communicate. But so it will be, for example, we could edit this dictionary and also say cover, because you see, it's like there is no word to say what juk means. Like it's something that is like, you could say wrap around, cover, smear, but in a way it's like trying to convey that meaning of like something it's involved, or I don't know. Now the thing, if you, because I think this is where you want to take it with she, right? You are trying to say why juk can be covered, but why she cannot be great. Is that the case? Because when you go to she, you realize that she, it's not
an adjective, right?
Itself, it means like a basis, like a foundation, like a ground. It doesn't necessarily means great in the sense that big, let's put it that way, or magnificent could be another way of interpreted great, right? Not only by size, but by the high quality that it has. So, but the interesting thing is like, it's like metok. In the metok example, if we try to separate metok, we are talking about like a fire and something on top, like a fire on top of something. So if we don't know how, like, does any of you, if I tell you like, hey, I'm gonna get you a fire on top for your birthday, will you ever come up with the idea that I'm talking about flowers? But the interesting thing is like, once you put it together colloquially and like in practice, it takes a new meaning. So everybody knows that, let's say in Tibet, metok, it's a flower. And it's something similar with sashi. Everybody knows, like when you talk like the foundation of earth, they are talking about the beautiful, vast ground, earth. Now, it wouldn't be accurate for a dictionary to say, like, if somebody just is curious, and I could show you that in Gopher, for example. If I'm just curious and I want to know what's she, if I go and just by itself look for she, I'm not gonna find the either definition for great or magnificent or anything like that. If we add that, it may confuse the reader, because in some other context, I don't know, let's say we're talking about the 4 steps to plant a good seed, right? She, Sampa, Yorwa, Tartuk. This is the same she in those 4 steps, but she in this case, in that case of the 4 steps, means foundation. So it's like the foundation step, which is usually decide what you want. Step number 1, decide what you want. Tibetan, they say, okay, what's your foundational from where you're gonna start? Decide what you want. So it may confuse the reader if we add for she a meaning that it's contextual when it gets together with sashi. Does that make sense? Like sometimes 2 words together get a new meaning, but by themselves will not have that meaning. So it is good to link sashi to great earth, but she by itself, you will never use it as great or magnificent.
Also, if you just translate it literally, it's not going to make sense, right? And as a translator, that's what your job is to to make sense of it so it communicates something. And we can see that in the early Tibetan translations that, you know, it's like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. That's Geshe Michael emphasized that a lot, to really try to develop this skill of conveying the idea that you have in your mind, right? Or the idea that the author has in their mind. So yeah, and then if you go to the dictionary that we are creating and you look for sashi, yes, you're gonna find that many times it can mean great earth. And not only that, like last time Ben Kramer said, you could go for the great earth, including also the. And if you look for sa independently, you're gonna find a lot of definitions, like what it is, like earth or level, platform. If you go for she alone, you're gonna find as well that she is foundation, many more things. But when together, they become like colloquially or commonly the word to refer to the place where the living beings in this planet live. Okay, yeah. So if you want to link the great earth, you probably are gonna have to delete, that's the D stands for, delete the previous link and do it again. Yeah. Yeah, but I will say don't include the comma there, because sometimes the comma, it will be used, yeah, for another word. The great earth, yes. Beautiful. Very well.
So first you have to make the big container and then you make the sublinks. Is that how it works?
Not necessarily. You can also do first the small parts and then get them together in a big one. So the order in that sense doesn't matter. Then we can keep going with pu, ki, juk, and shin. Very well. No, but that one, and this is also an interesting thing to notice. In Tibetan, usually the verb is at the end of the sentence. So if we go literally here, what it's saying, sashi, puki, juk, it's saying the earth, on the great earth, incense with is covered or filled in this case. So you first identify what are we talking about. The subject usually comes at very beginning on Tibetan. We are talking about the great earth is the subject. What about it? They say, okay, with incense, it's filled. So, and this is useful to know what subject the verb is affecting to. In this case, this verb juk is affecting the great earth. So, yeah. What's going on with the great earth? It's filled with the smell of incense. So, yeah.
Doesn't it cover both filled and covered?
No, because remember that in this case, tram is the one that it's covered.
Okay.
And another clue to come to that conclusion is the shin in between, because shin is separating the two ideas, and
Right.
that's why
The comma or the and, right? Okay.
yeah. So in this case, chuk will be filled. And you have to press spacebar. Yes. And then you also have key, the instrumental case. And shing.
Well, shing is the comma. So how do you do that?
Just click on the comma. You can click on it. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Nice. And now, same with cover with a blanket of flowers. If you get strict to the very literal meaning, the prayer actually says filled with incense, but the translator decided to write filled with the smell of incense. Ben Kramer also talked about that last session, that it could bring actually clarity to say that the earth is not filled with incense like powder or like the actual sticks, right? But the whole idea is that it's filled with the smell of it. So you can get the whole sentence filled with the smell of incense, and make a new link that includes Puki Yuk.
Oh, okay.
So Puki Yuk can be filled with the smell of incense. Yes, and that's very useful because, oh no, you already did it. It's
No,
already.
I'm just highlighting it. So.
Okay, great. So you can see what it means. All of them, the three words together means filled with the smells of incense, but you can also see what each one of the words separately means in that sentence. And that also helps you to start developing this, I guess, understanding of the language on Tibetan, because this happens a lot. You know, Tibetan is a very simple language in the sense that it's like they try to, economize. They use as little words as they can sometimes. And sometimes they start combining. They just take the first syllable of the first word, the first syllable of the second word, and the first syllable of the third word, and they make a new thing. So does anybody has any questions? Do you think you have enough to start with to maybe, what I will suggest is like during this week, practicing your own prayer, and then next week we meet again and we share with each other our prayer and see how everybody's doing. Do you all feel like you could start doing that, to play with your own prayer?
My hypercontext doesn't work.
Your hypercontext. Well, maybe can you share your screen now and we do that? We check on it.
Yes, immediately. Windows hypercontext. Okay.
Okay, you have the windows. Okay.
Um,
Oh, I see. Because you are in text edit mode, you have to go to link edit mode. You see at the bottom of your screen, it says text edit mode. And that, as far as Alexis say, is just F6, right? When you're in Windows. On your, oh, no, sorry. It's, yeah, that's F8 then.
Yeah, that's F8 must be.
Yeah, F6 is to change from Tibetan to Latin letters. Yes, now you're in link edit mode and now you can start making links.
yes, I understand now.
Very well. And do you feel you have enough to try to start with this prayer? Oh, okay. Okay. That looks good. For me, something that I see there, I don't know if it's a problem. It says Sashi, Puki, Yukshin, Metok. it seems that there is a space between the TO and G, but probably it's just the style of it. I think it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see the word in the dictionary. So right now you didn't link it with anything. That's where it got gray. In order to play with it, you need to make it black again, just pressing D. Thank you, Oscar. And yeah, if anybody has a question, you can text me or text in the group, either way. I think the idea of these meetings is just like we all know the general workings of the program, and you guys can start doing your own experiments. And then we meet once a week and review on it. And eventually, once that you're ready to go, and you get a text. And I mean, I have been doing it for over a year, and I still need many times that Ben Kramer and Nick helped me. So yeah, maybe, who knows, once a month or once every 2 months, we can convince them to join and help us with more. So good. You think you can start doing your own prayer for this week? Everybody's good? Okay, cool. And then, yeah, if you have questions, send them to the group or contact me directly, no problem.
So does it matter which prayer we choose, or just choose one randomly?
Yeah, with this very first text that we have, choose either the mandala offering or the going for refuge, the dedication, or the Lama, what's that? The offering of the merit? Lama something. Okay, great. So keep me posted. Good luck. Thank you so much for being interested in this. It's very useful. I think Lemon Core Classics really needs help with hypertexting. Nick and Ben Kramer have been talking about this for a while. They need to move faster in this process. There are so many texts that need to be hypertext and are going to be very useful. Plus, it's fun, it's interesting, it's a great mental exercise. I really think learning Tibetan, if you are into that, can help you with the pramana thing, like understanding how mental images are created and stuff like that. It's interesting language. Okay, all right, so we'll talk soon. Thank you for coming. If anybody has any question, please.
Juan, if you have a second, I have a question about the last line of this mandala. Some of the translation, when I click the individual words, were a little confusing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have time, I could share the screen. And
yeah, share the screen. And if anybody needs or wants to go, you are free to go.
It is in Sanskrit, right? The last line.
Oh, not the very last line. I'm looking at this line, trying to add some links. So I think this was clear. Every living being. When I come here, it gives me a few different definitions for pure. And then when I come to the very end, that was clear. When I come and highlight Parshok, it just tells me printing paper.
Yeah. Those are the some situations when, yeah, you need to do. There are a few options to do. Check each syllable separately, and then you can also check the English, because the English here, well, it's not English, but the way you see here, under the excuse me, I'm trying to figure out how to say this in English. Okay, under the Tibetan syllables, you have the Tibetan words, like the actual words here, English. Namdak, Shingla, Shupar, Shok. That is giving you a clue that the way to separate is not by par shok, but chu par. So click on chu.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. And stick to it. Get chu par, what it means. To practice, to perform, multiplicity,
Offering.
Uh-huh. An object attained, duty mode. Where did you see offering, Alexis? All right, and I'll give you another clue. So you go to the beginning of the sentence to identify the subject. Who's the subject? Every living being. Okay, so usually the verb is gonna be at the end. So chupar is gonna be a verb. It's like 90% sure that it's gonna be a verb.
Okay.
So, chupar, and it's gonna be describing something that those living beings are doing. So what are the living beings doing in this sentence?
Experiencing.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So I will definitely choose chupar for experiencing, because you see in the dictionary, yeah, select chupar. To practice, to conduct, to enjoy, to perform, to accomplish. So in a way, when you accomplish something, you are also experiencing it. So
Okay.
I will link chupar to that. And now, as I say, I'm gonna send you this text on grammar cases. Those grammar cases are very important to understand the structure of Tibetan, and are like very commonly these things like la. Do you see the la before chupar? It's one of the grammar cases. And these are after chupa, the R, it's another grammar case.
Okay.
So all of those things.
Actually, it's the same.
What's that?
It's the same, actually.
Yeah.
Doesn't?
Yeah, it could be the same. It could be the same because these are called latons, and latons are used for grammar case 2, 4, and 7. But it's the same particles. But I don't know if it's the same in the sense of the use that it's being. I will have to check it more carefully.
Okay.
Anyways, hope that helped. And then shock, for example, the last word. Mostly all the times the Tibetans use like a ending particle. So shock, for example, particle indicating the optative, may it be.
So it could be may.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Good. Yeah, that makes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, play with it. If you have questions, you can write it in the group chat or contact me. I'll share with you in a few minutes this grammar case document that Ben shared with me. Anybody?
And Jack, it could be also confusing with namdak, because nam can mean plural, I guess, and namdak means pure. So I guess that just dak was highlighted in your document. So you need to highlight namdak separately and then shing separately.
Okay.
Yeah, play with that, because there are many cases like that. Like it could be you're gonna click on something and it's gonna select 2 words, but maybe it's actually not these 2, but this and the one previously. Check on that, checks what it means separately, what it means together. And it's fun because it's like a detective kind of game. You have to try to figure it out what the case should be. And it's a lot of just like, it comes with practice. So have fun, play with it. We meet next week and see our own progress. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube as well. So if anybody wants to revisit or anybody missed the session, maybe there is some useful information here contained. And in the meantime, best wishes. I just encourage you, if you can and want, check Geshe Michael is gonna teach tonight from Japan. So I think it's gonna be very amazing. You can register at the ACI website, Asian Classics Institute. It's gonna be good.
So I registered, but I haven't gotten any notice about a link or anything.
Okay. I got it by an email, confirmation email. I registered yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh, I registered quite a few days ago. I'll go back and look then.
Okay, if you can find it, text me and I share the link that I got with you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Very welcome. See you later. Thank you, guys. Best
You-
wishes.